Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Sthapakaya cha dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namah Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorama Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, who came to establish universal religion, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. Today's topic I have chosen from the Gospel, Wisdom of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna's life is deeply interesting. Every moment of Sri Ramakrishna's life was practical, always pointing to spiritual goal. He chose spiritual path and followed all the disciplines required with full attention, and he was fully rational in his thinking about achieving the goal. So Sri Ramakrishna is the master scientist in the field of spirituality. He may be called a sage, he may be called a mystic of modern age, a man of God, God incarnate. According to one's liking, one may see him in whatever way he wants to look at him, and everyone would be correct in his or her own way of understanding Sri Ramakrishna. What's the reason? The reason is Sri Ramakrishna encompasses every aspect of religion and mysticism in his life and teachings. So every being can take something from this perennial fountain of spirituality and nourish his heart with purity, holiness and selflessness. Sri Ramakrishna, as I mentioned earlier, is the most rational mystic. With scientific precision, Sri Ramakrishna put forward in most simple terms, as parables and stories, the eternal truths regarding God and God realization. Like a scientist in the field of other physical sciences, Sri Ramakrishna talked about God only after directly experiencing the reality of God. He did not theorize or put forward philosophical conjectures to claim the divinity of each soul, but actually realized this truth, that the true nature of man is divine consciousness. This intuitive knowledge was based on his experiences during various spiritual practices he undertook in his young age. These practices include all traditional Hindu disciplines and also sadhana of Muslim and Christian faith. During these spiritual practices, Sri Ramakrishna got established in the highest non-dual consciousness and realized the same truth about the reality. That is, there is only one and only one reality or truth, which is called as Brahman or God in Vedanta. His flights in the divine states of altered consciousness would have been beyond description had Sri Ramakrishna himself not told his experiences to his disciples. These included one Mr. M, who chronicled his life, sayings and experiences during the period 1882 to 1886 as a gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. The other one, the great Swami Vivekananda, made the Vedantic teachings of Sri Ramakrishna broadcast to both the East and the West. The holy Ganges has carried spiritual aspirations of millions of Hindus to the ocean of bliss. She has nourished and nurtured many divine souls of past ages down to Sri Ramakrishna of the present age, and ferried thousands of scorched souls across the ocean of worldliness. Sri Ramakrishna is the epitome of spirituality. Humanity has not yet recognized the true import of the descent of this rare soul on the earth. It has become more humane and spiritual on 18 February 1836 with the advent of this noble soul on this earth. His special mission as God incarnate in today's world of strife and strike, terrorism and fanaticism, poverty and hunger, greed and corruption, will be recognized in due course of time. Sri Krishna, Lord Buddha, Jesus Christ also went largely unrecognized during their lifetime, but a wave of spirituality was generated decades and centuries after them to lift the masses from ignorance and dreariness of mundane existence to the light of divinity. The same phenomenon, much stronger and nobler, is being witnessed today as an aftermath of spiritual power unleashed by Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda and the Holy Mother. The fortunate ones will drink the nectar from this source of eternal bliss and will flourish forever. The ignorant will be washed clean of their mental dirt to get attracted to this powerful magnet in times to come. This time, nobody will be left untouched. This powerful current of divinity will affect certain degree of change in every mind. The alert will grab the opportunity to go beyond greed, corruption, perversions, sense pleasures and egotism. Sri Ramakrishna's gospel is full of words of wisdom spoken by Sri Ramakrishna himself. words of wisdom. They are gems. He taught no creed or dogma. His only concern was man's uplift. According to him, there is infinite moral and spiritual potential in everyone. To develop that potential is one's foremost duty in life. He taught man to strive to develop that potential without wasting time over sense pleasures or religious quibbling. About religion, Sri Ramakrishna said very clearly, they are like so many paths leading to the same goal. The goal is experiencing the truth. Man reaches his religious goal when he attains his highest moral development. So one has to concentrate, focus upon developing one's moral character. That is a basic foundation to begin spiritual life. God is both personal and impersonal. There need not be any conflict in this matter. Sri Ramakrishna did realize God in both aspects, in personal aspect and impersonal aspect. That's why he could emphatically assured that God is both personal and impersonal. It is difficult to conceive an impersonal God. Sri Ramakrishna himself tells that. So to begin with, God has to be thought of as a person. Sri Ramakrishna explains this by an example. Can anyone think of the white color without thinking of a white object? One can look at the morning sun, but not at the midday sun. Similarly, when God is manifest in a person, we know what God is like. Otherwise, God is impersonal and beyond thought and speech. How nicely Sri Ramakrishna has given this wisdom. Then he says, you don't have to run away from the world. Wherever you run, you are in the world only. But you must know the technique of living in this world. Beautiful words of wisdom Sri Ramakrishna has given in the gospel. Be in the world, but not of it. Perform your duties as well as you can, but do not count too much upon the fruits of your action. Do not demand the fruits for the duties you have to do. Concentrate upon your doing your responsibilities and be satisfied with what you have done. Don't expect any fruits to be given, any applause to be made for the duties you have done. Rather, surrender them to God. Be humble. Try to feel as if you are only a tool in the hands of God. Nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. Lord Krishna said the same thing in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Be like a tool. You are just an instrument. Be like that. Everything will be done perfectly. Religion, again Sri Ramakrishna clarifies the people's misconception about religion. So many chaos and confusion is going on in the name of religion. It's a great tragedy that only shows people have not crossed the barrier of ignorance. So, you can't expect anything from the ignorant people. A blind man teaching the religion to another one who is also blind. Blind teaching the blind. That's the most funny part. People talk volumes about philosophy, not practicing even iota of what to be done. Himself being ignorant, he talks volumes of philosophy. So Sri Ramakrishna clarifies it. Religion is not simply talking, it is an experience. Religion makes no sense unless its truths are experienced. Is your thirst satisfied unless you drink water when you are thirsty? How nicely he gives example. Very touching, appealing, convincing, rationalistic. That's the beauty of the wisdom of Sri Ramakrishna. God is everywhere, but He is most manifest in man. So, serve man as God. Let your focus be on God when you are serving a man, when you are serving humanity. Your look should be at the God, the divine in everyone. That is as good as worshipping God. Again, Sri Ramakrishna gives nectar of words of wisdom. Like stars in the daylight, God is invisible. Can you therefore say that there are no stars in the sky during the day, simply because they are not visible during the daytime? Because you can't find God in the days of your ignorance, say not that there is no God. Beautiful words. See, this is the shining example of words of wisdom. A man thickly embedded in Maya. How is he like? Sri Ramakrishna compares such a person to a piece of iron thickly embedded in mud. Just like the iron with mud is unmoved by the power of the magnet, so also the man is unaffected by the Lord. When the mud is washed away with water, it frees the iron. Likewise, when Maya is washed away with prayer, man is automatically attracted to God. So cleansing of the mind is most important in your spiritual journey. Without cleansing the mind, you will not be able to have any experience in religion. Most important, vital step is to cleanse the mind. Again, Sri Ramakrishna says, to explain God after merely reading the scriptures is like explaining a city after seeing it on a map. A meteorological report may forecast heavy rainfall, but you can't squeeze a single drop from the paper on which the report is written. So also, many good sayings are found in holy books, but merely reading them won't make you spiritually wise. Beautiful words. And again, another place, Sri Ramakrishna pours out his nectar. An unbaked cake of flour sizzles loudly when put in heated oil. The more it is fried, the less the noise. When it is fully fried, the noise ceases altogether. Likewise, when a person has a little knowledge, he goes about talking and preaching. A truly wise man doesn't make a vain display of his wisdom. Young bamboo bends easily, while full-grown bamboo breaks when bent with force. Likewise, young minds bend easily towards spiritual thoughts, as their minds has not yet stored up with contamination. Then Sri Ramakrishna says, all women are parts of the Blessed Mother and should be looked upon as mothers. That's the purest attitude one can cherish, which leads one without any hurdles on the way towards the goal. A spiritual aspirant may live in the world, but the world should not live in his mind. A boat may stay in water, but water should not stay in the boat. Live like a lotus leaf in water, or like a mudfish in a marsh. A spiritual person lives in the material world without being obsessed with it. Milk poured into water mixes readily with it, but when converted into butter, it no longer gets mixes but floats on top. Do all your duties, but keep your mind on God. Live with all wife, children, father, mother. Serve them. Serve them as if they were very, very dear to you. But know in your heart of hearts that they do not belong to you. There is nothing wrong in your being in the world, but you must direct your mind towards God. Otherwise you will not succeed. So God orientation, spiritual attitude is most important in life. Do your duty with one hand and with the other hand hold to God. After the duty is over, you will hold to God with both hands. Vision of God is obtained when the mind is perfectly tranquil. When the sea of one's mind is agitated by the waves of desires, it cannot reflect God. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example, a kite with a fish in its beak was chased by a large number of crows and scrambling kites, picking at it and trying to snatch away the fish. Wherever it went, the flock of birds followed the kite. Tired of the chase, the kite threw away the fish. Instantly, the flock veered off in the direction of the fish. The kite now sat calm and undisturbed upon the branch of a tree. As long as a man does not cast aside the burden of worldly desires, he cannot be at peace with himself. Ceremonies and rituals, they are useful up to a certain point for the growth of spiritual thoughts. However, they are not of use for him who has realized the highest truth, namely God. Just as the oyster shell that contains a precious pearl is in itself of very little value, but is essential for the growth of the pearl. To acquire the power of concentration, a person must begin by fixing the mind on a God with form. Only then can he meditate on the formless. Once a mind has been trained to focus on an idol, it is easy for it to focus on the formless. A marksman learns to shoot by first aiming at big objects. As he gets more skilled in shooting, he targets smaller and smaller objects. Sri Ramakrishna gives an example how the power of concentration works. A man was sitting on the bank of a stream all alone, fishing. It was getting late, and still he had caught no fish. After a while, the float on his line began to move. Now and then its tip touched the water. The fisherman was holding the line tight in his hands, ready to pull it up, when somebody came walking by on the road above the banks of the stream. And he asked a question. Sir, the visitor said to the fisherman, can you tell me where the lettermen live? It's somewhere around here. There was no reply from the fisherman, because he was just on the verge of pulling up his rod. There seemed to be business at the end of the line. Again and again the traveller said in a louder voice, Sir, can you tell me where the lettermen live? But the man fishing in the stream was unconscious of everything around him. His hands were trembling, his eyes fixed on the float. The picture of a fine fish about to come up vivid in his mind. This man must be stone deaf, said the visitor to himself. He became very much annoyed, and so he started walking away on the road again. After he had gone quite a way, it happened that the fisherman's float sank under the water, and with one pull of the rod he landed a good-sized fish. Wiping the sweat from his brow, the fisherman now turned and shouted after the visitor, Hey, come here. Listen. What did you ask? But the man would not even turn his face. But the fisherman kept on shouting. Finally that visitor came back. He said to the fisherman, Why are you shouting at me? The fisherman said, What did you ask me about? Why? I repeated my question so many times, and here you are asking me to repeat it again. The fisherman replied, At that time a fish was after my bait, so I did not hear a word of what you said. Sri Ramakrishna tells this story that this is the kind of single-mindedness we must have in meditation. We must become completely absorbed. After 14 years of hard penance, a man acquired the supernatural power to walk on water. When he displayed of it, his brother rebuked him. What you have accomplished in 14 years, ordinary men can do by paying a few pennies to the boatman. There are several bathing banks or ghats on a large river. A person goes to whichever ghat he pleases, but reaches the same water. There is no point in quarreling over the merits of the various ghats. Every religion of the world is like a ghat. Each has its own plus and minus points, and each leads to the water of eternal bliss. The one and the same water is called by different names in different languages. So the one Satchidananda, existence, knowledge, bliss, is invoked by some as Allah, and by some as Hari, and by others as Jesus. So what? They are calling the same God. Just as people, though they are taking baths in various ghats, they are all taking bath in the same water. Sri Ramakrishna gives another analogy, very beautiful, thought-provoking. Two persons were hotly disputing over the color of a chameleon they had seen on a tree. One said, it was red. Immediately the other one protested, what? Probably you have not seen properly. It cannot be red. It was blue. Unable to resolve the difference, they went to a man who lived under the tree and had watched the chameleon in all its phases. He knew that the chameleon constantly changes color. So, when these two people posed their problem, the man sitting under the tree said, both of them are correct. Because chameleon was red, it was as well as blue. Likewise, a devotee who has seen God only in one aspect knows that aspect alone. None but he who has seen him in manifold aspects can say all these forms are of this one God, for God is multiform. God is both formless and with form, and infinite are his forms. Viveka and Vairagya, discrimination and dispassion, are the two purifying agents in our life. Put a purifying agent like alum into a vessel of muddy water and see how impurities settle down at the bottom, making the water clear again. Similarly, Viveka and Vairagya help our restless senses to settle down and clear our minds of tensions and anxieties. A person who is fond of fishing first gathers detailed information about a pond, the type of fish it contains, and the most suitable bait to catch them. He then goes to the pond with his fishing rod and bait and waits there patiently until he gets an attractive catch. Similarly, a spiritual aspirant should first gain knowledge from scriptures and spiritual masters. He should try to seek God with the bait of faith and devotion, with his mind as a fishing rod. With unceasing patience he must wait for the fullness of time. Only then will he realize the divine. Once a disciple asked his guru, "Sir, when shall I see God?" Then Guru took his disciple to the sea and immersed his head in water. After some time he released him and asked, "How did he feel?" "Desperate for breath," replied the devotee. On hearing, the Guru said, "You shall see God when you are as desperate for him as you were for breath." And Sri Ramakrishna also nicely explains love. Love can be three ways: unselfish, that's called samartha; reciprocal, samanjasa; selfish, sadharana. Ordinary love, what you find in the world is selfish love. The unselfish lover seeks only the welfare of his beloved, even at the cost of personal hardship and pain. In reciprocal love, the lover desires happiness both for self and his beloved. When love is selfish, the lover cares only for his own happiness. How nicely Sri Ramakrishna explains the various aspects of love. He tells another interesting parable. 4 blind men went out to see an elephant. One touched the leg of the elephant and said, "The elephant is like a pillar." The second one touched the trunk and said, "The elephant is like a thick club." The third one touched the belly and said, "The elephant is like a big wall." The fourth one touched the ears and said, "The elephant is like a big winnowing basket." Thus they began to dispute hotly among themselves as to the shape of the elephant. A passer-by, seeing them thus quarreling, said, "What is it you are disputing about?" They told him everything and asked him to arbitrate. The man said, None of you has seen the elephant." None of you has seen the elephant. The elephant is not like a pillar. Its legs are like pillars. It is not like a winnowing basket. Its ears are like winnowing baskets. It is not like a club. Its trunk is like a club. The elephant is a combination of all these: legs, ears, belly, trunk, and so on. In the same manner, those who quarrel about the nature of God have each seen only one aspect of the deity. This way, the whole gospel is full of words of wisdom. The greatest joy you will get if you read them, focus your attention on the meaning, and if you live spiritual life according to the instructions of Sri Ramakrishna, you really enjoy the great effect of these words of wisdom. Incarnation, what is that? To cover before a man who excretes filth, it is absurd. But if you speak of a man as a reflection of God's light, yes, that I admit. The Dr. Sarkar, he is talking like this. Girish said smilingly, "But you have not seen God's light." Dr. Sarkar was hesitating before giving a reply. A friend who sat near him whispered something into his ear. Then the doctor said to Girish, "You too have not seen anything but a reflection." Girish said, "I see it. I see the light. I shall prove that Sri Krishna is an incarnation of God, or I shall cut out my tongue." Master said, "All this is useless talk. It is like the ravings of a delirious patient. A delirious patient says, 'I shall drink a whole tank of water. I shall eat a whole pot of rice.' The physician says, 'Yes, yes, you will have all these. We shall give you whatever you want when you are convalescent.' When butter is heated, it sizzles and crackles. But all sound comes to a stop when it is thoroughly boiled. As a man's mind is, so is his conception of God. I have seen in rich men's houses portraits of the queen and other aristocrats, but the devotee keep in their houses pictures of gods and goddesses." Lakshman said, "O Rama, even a sage like Vasishtadeva was overcome with grief on account of the death of his sons." "Brother," replied Rama, "whoever has knowledge has ignorance also. Whoever is conscious of light is also conscious of darkness. Therefore, go beyond knowledge and ignorance. One attains this state through an intimate knowledge of God. This knowledge is called Vijnana. When a thorn enters the sole of your foot, you have to get another thorn. You then remove the first thorn with the help of the second. Afterwards you throw away both. Likewise, after removing the thorn of ignorance with the help of the thorn of knowledge, you should throw away the thorns of both knowledge and ignorance. There are signs of perfect knowledge. One is that reasoning comes to an end. As I have just said, the butter sizzles and crackles as long as it is not thoroughly boiled." Doctor said, "But can one retain perfect knowledge permanently? You say that all is God. Then why have you taken up this profession of Paramahamsa? And why do these people attend on you? Why don't you keep silent?" Master answered smilingly, "Water is water. Whether it is still or moves, or breaks into waves. I must tell you something else. Why should I not listen to the Mahut Narayan? The Guru had taught his disciple that everything was Narayan. A mad elephant was coming toward the disciple, but he did not move away since he believed the Guru's words. He thought that the elephant was Narayan. The Mahut shouted to him, "Get away, get away!" But the disciple did not move. The elephant picked him up and threw him to the ground. The disciple was not quite dead. When his face was sprinkled with water, he regained consciousness. Being asked why he had not moved away, he said, "Why should I? The Guru said everything is Narayan." "But my child," said the Guru, "why didn't you listen to the words of the Mahut Narayan? It is God who dwells within as a pure mind and pure intelligence. I am the machine and he is the operator. I am the house and he is the indweller. It is God who is the Mahut Narayan." Doctor said, "Let me ask you something. Why do you ask me to cure your illness?" Master replied, "I talk that way as long as I am conscious of the jar of the ego. Think of vast ocean filled with water on all sides. The jar is immersed in it. There is water both inside and outside the jar, but the water does not become one unless the jar is broken. It is God who has kept this jar of the ego in me." Doctor asked, "What's the meaning of ego and all that you are talking about? You must explain it to me. Do you mean to say that God is playing tricks to us? Do you mean to say that God is playing tricks on us?" Girish said, "Sir, how do you know that he is not playing tricks?" Master said smilingly, "It is God who has kept this ego in us. All this is his play, his leela. A king has 4 sons. They are all princes, but when they play, one becomes a minister, another a police officer, and so on. Though a prince, he plays as a police officer." To the doctor, Sri Ramakrishna said, "Listen, if you realize Atman, you will see the truth of all I have said. All doubts disappear after the vision of God." Doctor said, But is it ever possible to get rid of all doubts?" Master, "Learn from me as much as I have told you. But if you want to know more, you must pray to God in solitude. Ask him why he has so ordained. The son of the house can give you a beggar only a small measure of rice. But if the beggar asks for his train fare, then the master of the house must be called." The doctor remained silent. Sri Ramakrishna said, "Well, you have reasoning. Well, you love reasoning. All right. Let us reason a little. Listen. According to the Jnani, there is no incarnation of God. Krishna said to Arjuna, 'You speak of me as an incarnation of God. Let me show you something. Come with me.' Arjuna had followed Sri Krishna a short distance, and Sri Krishna asked him, 'What do you see there?' Arjuna replied, 'A big tree with black berries hanging in bunches.' Krishna said, 'Those are not blackberries. Go nearer and look at them.' Arjuna went nearer and saw that they were Krishnas hanging in bunches. 'Do you see now?' said Krishna. 'How many Krishnas like me have grown there?' Kabirdas said of Krishna, 'He danced like a monkey to the clapping of the gopis.' As you go nearer to God, you see less and less of his upadhis, his attributes. A devotee at first may see the deity as the 10-armed Divine Mother. When he goes nearer, he sees her possessed of 6 arms. Still nearer, he sees the deity as the 2-armed Gopala. The nearer he comes to the deity, the fewer attributes he sees. At last, When he comes into the presence of the deity, he sees only light without any attributes. I'll stop here. Any question? Yeah. Now the people who are brought up in that line of thinking, let them think that way. Sri Ramakrishna is giving instruction to all sections of people. So he is telling, he is giving the correction to our thinking. God without form himself takes a form. So it is easier to focus. If a person can focus on God without any form, all right, let him go ahead in that process. But ordinarily, people feel more easy to focus it consciousness, all pervading Brahman. So, if a person can go without any idol, if he is able to go, let him go. That's what Ramakrishna is not discouraging him, but he is telling. But suppose a person cannot think of abstraction, then is there no way for him? No, Ramakrishna says there is a way. If you hold on to idol, in fact, when you think of formless also, they tell us, think of Om. That means you must have something to think, You should say, don't think anything, if it is formless. Why do you want to do Om? Why do you want anything at all? So, to focus attention, to get concentration, one needs the forms. And through forms you can really reach the formless aspect. That's what we have system. And we are holding on to divine form, the purest form of manifestation of God. See, the world created. How the world was created? Because the formless aspect projected himself into forms. He projected himself into Vishnu, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar. He projected himself in those three forms. And then each one acted in a way, in a particular way, to project the universe. Brahma became the creator, Vishnu became the sustainer, and Shiva became the destroyer. Same God projected himself as three, and then the whole universe was projected, multi forms. In and through all these forms, God is present. Destiny. Even the demon, God is there. Even the demon. But because of the demon qualities, the presence of God is not felt. Because of that. So, that impurities are to be taken out, then you will see the shining light. Even when a soul leaves the body, how does it leave? It goes in the form of Jyoti one. Whether it is a demon or anybody. When Shishupal was killed by Sri Krishna, he charged with disgust. And Shishupal's head was beheaded. Head was taken out. Immediately, all the Bhishma and all, Dharmaraj, all the dignitaries who were staying in that court, they all saw brilliant light going out from the body of Shishupala. And that light gradually coming towards Krishna and merged in his heart. Jyoti. This is the formless. So, in order to realize the formless, it is not that you must go through idols. It's not necessary if you don't want to. But you can't rule it out. You can't say persons who are following through idols, they are wrong and I am correct. That you should not say. Yeah. See, what Sri Ramakrishna is giving assurance to all sections of people. That's the idea there. He's integrating all the people. Don't quarrel, you go ahead and realize the truth. He gives the example of Kabirdas himself. God formless God is my father. God with form is my mother. The Buddha's greatest non-dualistic saint. Like that. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quenched that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. Own name streams down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to not just thyself, O self, drowned deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name that brought our weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how used then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree, take no honor to thyself, give honor to all, chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or revenue, the playthings of lust or the price of fame, as many times as I may be reborn. Grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. Drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. Thy mercy considering as dust beneath thy feet. How I long for the day when an instant separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of the devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated with noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere, may all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous reign tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the free make others free. May good guide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be free from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the holiness becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the holiness feels satisfied.